Hello there, Jericho. How you doing? Hey, did you hear about the news in regarding about the D.C. the National Guards? They were shot, and then there's a lot. YouTube. I'm trying to get my phone to work, but YouTube's being attacked today. I hope tomorrow everybody enjoys their Thanksgiving dinner with their family tomorrow. Remember, we all need to boycott Black Friday. Why is my GPS not GPS? Freaking thing always something with this one. I tell you, I don't get what's the deal. But I just figured go live, man. Go live. Chat with y'all. We got some videos. Get the phone to work. It's because I'm using the other phone there for data wise. But what's up, Jericho? How's things going there? How's the weather there by you, man? Because it's really cold and windy here. It's just a never ending here. Okay, why is the I don't know, why is this your I don't need this one. We're going to the other one. No, if we do this one here, I want to go here. We'll be done. Alright, got that working now. Let's get the video starter. I gotta hear my other fancy gadget thing on. Alright. Yeah. Supposedly 2 National Guards were shot today in D.C., so I don't know what's going on these days. And then we hear about the case has been dismissed. It should work.
Let's transfer credit cards. Here's what you might not know. For starters, if you're carrying a credit card balance month over month, you probably didn't know that there are cards out there that can help you save hundreds of dollars in interest payments. Credit Karma can help you find the right card to transfer your existing balance to.
What's up, guys? Spenny comes before destruction. We have learned that wisdom from the scriptures, and it has been proven true every second of every day that we've been covering politics. And those who think of themselves as untouchable or way smarter than they actually are the ones who are often destroyed. You can see that in everything from the Epstein files, all the way to the Clinton family, all the way to those who are trying to charge President Trump with made-up crimes, like, for instance, in Georgia, where Donald Trump simply objected. Water pipes burst, bags of ballots were found, shoved through the machines. Nobody had any records of what was happening, and quite frankly, there's an enormous amount of proof that true and actual fraud. Joe Biden did not win Georgia, and Donald Trump had every right to object to it. He was charged with crimes because of that, for noticing, and then given an epic mugshot, which was a wild backfire. That mugshot was, they gave him a rap album, is what they did. But nonetheless, was an annoying process. Clearly cost tens of millions of dollars, took Donald Trump off the campaign trail. That was the point of all of it. The process is the punishment. And that process is now over today, as the entire case has been officially dropped. But pride doth cometh before destruction. I mean, for me, it's very sad because this was the most entertaining of timelines. Fannie Willis, again, is just one of these people who is dumb. He's just a very low IQ individual. But the worst kind of people on earth are not high IQ individuals who think they're dumb or are humble, but low IQ individuals who think they're smart. All right? These are the worst kind of people on earth. Know your station in life, right? And be okay with that. People like Fannie Willis, they think they're so much smarter than they really are. So they make comments like this.
I'm so tired of hearing these idiots call my name as Fanny in a way to attempt to humiliate me. Because like silly schoolboys, the name reminds them of a woman's rear.
All these local cases like Fanny. It's spelled Fanny. It's spelled Fanny like your ass, right?
Yep.
Oh my, how the mighty have fallen. It was an incredibly entertaining time. Remember, Fannie Willis was taken off the case because they found out that she was banging the chief prosecutor, a guy named Nathan Wade.
To a cabin with Miss Willis ever.
Ever.
All the time we've been together, thought nothing would last forever. Through thick and thin, good or bad, all I was happy, never sad. Now it's all gone sour, getting worse by the hour. Let's break up. No.
You've never gone to a cabin with this?
No.
They're the best. This is the best timeline. President Trump then roasting
Ignited by Fanny in Georgia. Fanny. How did that work out? And her lover, Nathan Wade. And they hired him for almost $1 million because of his... He had experience in something else. You know that.
experience in something else. Well, they were taken off the case, and they promised that they weren't a couple, but now here in the L.A. airport, you can see Fanny, and Nathan Wade carrying her bags like a complete schlep. What a sad, miserable couple. Flomping through the airport in their pajamas. My, how the mighty have fallen. President Trump, total and complete exoneration here. Georgia prosecutor who took over the 2020 election interference case drops all charges against Trump and others. Pete Skandalakis, who took over the case, Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis, was disqualified, said that the case was without precedent. Oh, yeah, baby. You love to see it. A Georgia judge ended the sprawling 2020 election interference case against President Trump and his co-defendants after a prosecutor who took it over said he was dropping the charges. The decision, the Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee came shortly after prosecutor notified the judge that he would not be proceeding with his charges. He took over the case after Fannie Willis was disqualified. In my professional opinion, the citizens of Georgia are not served by pursuing this case in full for another 5 to 10 years. He says that the case does not serve the interests of justice and promote judicial finality. Ooh, baby. It's beautiful. Look at this, though. Look at what Fannie gave us. Mugshot. Come on, baby. I mean, on some levels, you got to be thankful for this mugshot. The decision is not guided by a desire to advance an agenda based on my beliefs and understanding of the law. Trump defense lawyer Steve Sadow said on the statement, the political prosecution of President Trump disqualified DA Fannie is finally over. The case should never have been brought. Impartial prosecutor has put an end to this lawfare. Right. They should now sue Fannie Willis. I'm, for real. In a 22-page memo explaining the reasoning for the decision, the prosecutor noted the entire case is without precedent and pointed in part to the challenges of trying the case against a sitting president. There you go. Without precedent against the president. Got it. Georgia drops 2020 election case against Trump. Allies. New prosecutor declines There it is. CNN literally crying on air over it. Look at the expression of CNN of this breaking news. Sorry. Yes, he's dismissed all of it. Fannie Willis took President Trump's mugshot, and all she did was help him get reelected president. Case dismissed, witch hunt over. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis must face accountability for her corruption and unlawful weaponization against President Trump and his supporters. She severely harmed a lot of objecting to the presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887. And that's why Democrats didn't face charges for objecting to Republican presidential wins. Fannie took our country to the brink. She belongs in prison. Good. Do that next. Wonderful news. Congratulations to David and Jeff Clark and everybody who's targeted by this farce. This farce is finally over. I'll have more to say. I hope that you all sue Fannie Willis. Poor Fannie, I hear she's getting the Grey Goose hard right about now. Remember talking about how much she loves Grey Goose. Election interference case. Dismissed. Totally huge. Yep. Win. Should have never been brought. Without precedent to sue the president. As a victory for POTUS, Fannie Willis' politically motivated prosecution is dead. Should never have been filed in the first place. Case dismissed. Hallelujah. You can thank one woman for this. Ashley Merchant, who followed a hunch all the way to the disqualification of the prosecutor in the entire case, saving the Trump and many others ruthless political lawfare. That's exactly right. You think that making the perpetrators of obviously egregious lawfare accountable, step back to sanity, make Fannie Willis, her shadow puppet masters, and her minions criminally or at least civilly pay liable for the torture she put the president through. Make this scum pay is what everybody's saying. Lawfare must have consequences. Jack Smith failed and Trump is in the White House. Fannie failed. Trump's in the White House. Alvin Bragg failed. Trump is in the White House. James fails. Trump's in the White House. They have to pay for their crimes. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. And it's up. And it's gone. This is one step towards justice. But justice is not complete. Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade have to be indicted by Pam Bondi and the DOJ. Great questions. Great questions for an interview sometime soon.
What is going on?
Hey guys, we are here at Fenway Park in Boston, Massachusetts. We're here to join Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy.
All right, breaking today, a Georgia judge dismissing an election interference case against President Trump, tossing every charge against him and several co-defendants brought by District Attorney Fannie Willis. It is the same case that gave us this iconic 2023 mugshot of then candidate Donald Trump. Correspondent Christina Coleman has the details, and we know that mugshot lives in the White House now. Christina?
It sure does. You know, Pete Scandalakis, a newly appointed prosecutor on this case, killed all the charges against Trump and the other co-defendants. Scandalakis took over the Georgia election interference case after Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis was disqualified over her alleged affair with the special prosecutor she appointed. In his memo explaining the reasoning for his decision, Scandalakis wrote, severing President Trump from the remaining defendants and conducting separate trials while simultaneously waiting for the conclusion of his term and addressing all of the aforementioned legal issues would be both illogical and unduly burdensome and costly for the state and for Fulton County. After the prosecutor's filing, Fulton County Superior Court Judge Scott McAfee dismissed the entire case against Trump and his co-defendants. President Trump was asked whether he was tracking this case during a recent press gaggle on Air Force One, and he did not seem worried or bothered by it at all. Take a listen.
Willis case? I think so. I can't imagine it. I thought that case was over. I was told that case was totally over.
Well, it's over now. President Trump's lead Georgia defense attorney released a statement on the charges getting dropped today. He said, quote, the political persecution of President Trump by disqualified DA Fannie Willis is finally over. This case should never have been brought. A fair and impartial prosecutor has put an end to this lawfare. Also under Georgia law, if a case is dismissed because a prosecutor is disqualified, the accused can recoup attorney's fees, which could be millions of dollars in this case. So we'll see if Trump's lawyer pursues that. as well.
Oh, come on.
In this case, so we'll see if Trump's lawyer pursues that as well.
Dark days in Washington, D.C. on lockdown after a murderous ambush attack against two National Guardsmen left them dead, but now there are conflicting reports as to whether the National Guardsmen are in critical condition or deceased. We will show you that as the administration is taking a whole approach to all of this. There was just a press conference that described the horrific attack, an absolute and total ambush shootout that happened targeting the National Guards. Now, this is Washington, D.C. My initial instinct here was that D.C. is so crime-ridden with typical gangland violence and robberies that perhaps it was one of those, and that two people just started shooting at each other. Maybe a National Guardsman was caught in the crossfire, or perhaps there was a robbery and things went sideways. You will recall that Joe Biden's granddaughter had her Secret Service exchange gunfire with someone who was trying to rob their vehicle. This was in Georgetown. So initial instinct was perhaps that was what happened. There was a criminal engagement that was going on. Maybe the National Guardsman got caught in the crossfire. That is not the case. This, ladies and gentlemen, was a targeted attack on our National Guard. And the suspect is not cooperating, although they are alive, and we now have the first photos of them. Suspect approached the guardsmen, appearing to target them, firing first at one of the guardsmen who was mere feet away in the head. According to 3 law enforcement sources, one source said that the suspect then fired at the other guardsman who tried to get behind a bus stop shelter. The source said the suspect is not cooperating with investigators, had no identification on him at the time of arrest. This, of course, that now makes a lot of sense as the clearest footage of the immediate aftermath of the shooting shows the suspect being apprehended and disarmed. And you can see there the bus stop shattered, the glass all over the ground as the two National Guardsmen fight for their lives. I want to touch on this very briefly because the governor of Virginia said that the two National Guardsmen were indeed
acorns. Growing up, I had a tough childhood, but it's the reason I worked so hard today. Now I'm using acorns.
Were indeed killed and succumbed to their wounds after being shot. This is potential good news, maybe. Pray. We are now receiving conflicting reports about the conditions of the National Guards member. We'll provide information as we receive more complete information. Our prayers with those brave service members. Okay. So we now have tons of responses from everyone from Trump, who calls the shooter an animal, who says that he's going to pay a very steep price, to the Department of War's response, Pete Hegseth, saying that the response from the Department of War will be a surge of troops into Washington, D.C., not backing down or retreating, but now adding more troops. Have a listen.
Very productive meetings, but I want to start by saying after those meetings, myself and my team were notified that 2 National Guardsmen have been shot in Washington, D.C., critically wounded. The shooter shot in a cowardly, dastardly act, targeting the best of America, heroes willing to serve in Washington, D.C., serve for people they don't know and they've never met because they love their country and their capital and their community. They were willing to do dangerous things others were not because they love their fellow Americans. Someone decided to turn that into targeting National Guardsmen. That will only stiffen our resolve. We will never back down. We will secure our capital. We will secure. It will not stand. And that's why President Trump has asked me, and I will ask the Secretary, additional troops, National Guardsmen, to Washington, D.C. This will only stiffen our resolve to ensure that we make Washington, D.C. safe and beautiful. The drop in crime has been historic. The increase in safety and security has been historic. But if criminals want to conduct things like this, violence against America's best, we will never back down. President Trump will never back down. That's why the American people elected him. America and our warriors, our National Guardsmen, are strong. And so we're following this very closely. We're getting information rapidly. And I mentioned the faith of this country, the Christian faith, the prayers. I would ask for prayers for our National Guardsmen.
Excuse me, Mr.
Appeals to heaven for our National Guardsmen, for their families, on bended knee as a War Department, as a nation.
Excuse me.
We will never back down.
Excuse me.
Think about them right now.
Venezuela.
Kash Patel just finished a media gaggle on site, on the ground, in person from the murder scene, saying that the National Guard troops are in critical condition at the hospital, and that this was, in fact, a targeted attack. Again, saying that the individual who went up and shot these National Guardsmen was intending to murder them, and that suspect, it was described on the ground as an Arabic man, a man looking of Arabic descent with a longer beard that you can see here. It claimed that the suspect had a long beard and an Arabic appearance. This is all we know so far. Here's what Kash Patel had to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kash Patel, FBI Director. We're here to brief you on the tragic events that happened today at approximately 2:15 local time in Washington, D.C., where two of our brave members of the National Guard and the Department of War were brazenly attacked in a horrendous act of violence. They were shot. They're in critical condition. As you can see behind me, we have assembled the full force of both the federal and state and local law enforcement agencies to bring bear all of our resources to make sure we find the perpetrators responsible for this heinous act. And make no mistake, they will be brought to justice. Since this is an assault on a federal law enforcement officer, this will be treated at the federal level as an assault on a federal law enforcement officer. The FBI will lead out on that mission with our interagency partners, to include the Department of Homeland Security, Secret Service, ATF, DEA, and we're thankful for the mayor's assistance in this matter, the Metropolitan Police Department and their skills in investigating homicides and gun shootings collaboratively, because this is a matter of national security, because this is a matter of pride. President Trump has been informed. We've been in contact with the White House. We will sure we find and safeguard our nation's capital right here in Washington, D.C., and bring anyone responsible for this heinous act of violence to justice. I would lastly like to add to the American public and the world, please send your prayers to those brave warriors who are in critical condition and their families. They are here serving our country. They are here protecting everyday Americans and citizens around the world in our nation's capital. They are the heroes of this day, and we must remember them on this day and every day, and their families and the sacrifice they have made. I will now turn it over to Chief Carroll of the Metropolitan Police Department. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is what the chief of police also had to say in Washington, D.C., saying that there is one suspect and that this was a targeted shooting.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeff Carroll. I'm the Executive Assistant Chief here at the Metropolitan Police Department. At approximately 2:15 this afternoon, members of the D.C. National Guard were on high visibility patrols in the area of 17th and I Street Northwest when a suspect came around the corner, raised his arm with a firearm, and discharged it at the National Guard members. The National Guard members, there were other members that were in the area. They were able to, after some back and forth, able to subdue the individual and bring him into custody. Within moments, members of law enforcement in the area were also able to assist and bring that individual into custody. At this time, as the director mentioned, the National Guard members are being treated at a local hospital. DC Fire and EMS responded, transported to a local hospital. The suspect in this case was also transported for treatment at a local hospital.
We are wanting all available information right now on who this individual is.
Yeah.
There was a rapid fire series of questions that were asked of Kash Patel, the DC Mayor Muriel Bowser, and the DC Police Chief from the press. And we believe that that's worth just playing for you now so that you can see all available information on what's happening in Washington, D.C. The airport is on lockdown, and the entire area around the White House is on lockdown. We want more information on the shooter. Currently no identification. A criminal alien? Are they part of the Muslim Brotherhood? President Trump just made a Muslim Brotherhood terrorist organization declaration. What is the updates? The updates on the soldiers who were shot. Pray for them, please, 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 please pray for them. It is Thanksgiving. Here's the full press conference.
Guys, if you're feeling the effects of a swollen prostate, don't wait for it to get worse. You don't need meds, surgery, or stuff like saw palmetto to get relief. There's a much better way.
It's Thanksgiving. Here's the full press conference.
More details on the condition of the two National Guardsmen and whether or not anyone else was injured. And a quick question follow-up for the FBI director. You said that we'll make sure we find the perpetrators for this act. So just to clarify, the person believed to be responsible is in custody and there are no other suspects.
Sure, so I can start out. Again, Chief Carroll from MPD. So both of the individuals, the Guard members, they are in critical condition at a local hospital at this time being treated. At this point, we have no other suspects. We have reviewed video from the area. It appears, like I said, to be a lone gunman that raised a firearm and ambushed these members of the National Guard, and he was quickly taken into custody by other National Guard members and law enforcement members.
Any sense of motive?
No, at this time, obviously, we're very in the preliminary stages of investigation. There's a lot of things, a lot of agents that are here from various federal agencies, law enforcement agencies. We have the full power of the FBI and our federal partners here in the task force. So we're looking at all those different aspects, but we don't have any motive. The National Guardsmen that were shot, I'm told they were armed.
Did they get off shots?
At this time, that's part of the preliminary investigation.
Can you explain how the suspect was apprehended?
Sure. So how the suspect was apprehended, as I said, the individual, the suspect came around the corner. He immediately started firing a firearm at the two National Guard members. They heard the gunfire. They actually were able to intervene and to kind of hold down the suspect after he had been shot on the ground. So law enforcement got there within moments.
He was shot
the individual. It's not clear at this time.
Were there DC policemen in the area?
We don't know what kind of weapon. There was DC police. It happened right in front of the Metro, although there is no indication that the perpetrator was on the Metro. So there's Metro Transit Police in the area, and obviously being on 17th Street by the White House, Uniform Division of Secret Service were in the immediate area as well.
What kind of weapon the alleged perpetrator?
We do not know at this time. It's still under investigation.
We're going to be able to take a couple more.
Have you been able to question the suspect, or is his condition so severe that you haven't been able to have a conversation?
Sure. And so as I said, we're very preliminary in the investigation, so we're looking to all aspects of who the individual is, his connections. At this time, he's still in the hospital receiving treatment.
And I would just like, I would just like to add, the reason that this suspect is in custody is because of the bravery of the men and women of the National Guard who responded due to their extensive training to secure American lives today. There was not any further injury and any further shootings. We should highlight the fact that the men and women of law enforcement, the interagency, the Department of War, and the National Guard executed their training with great precision today and prevented an even greater tragedy from befalling us. These National Guardsmen are heroes, and we must pray for their safety and their speedy recovery. And as the Chief said, we are in the preliminary stages of this investigation. We will run down every single lead, every piece of evidence. This is the power of the U.S. government at its best at the state, local, and assure America and the world that we will continue to keep D.C. safe. And thankfully, we have Metropolitan Police Department, the National Guardsmen, and federal agents, and the Department of Justice and Attorney General willing to prosecute the mission to keep Americans safe. And President Trump has rightly stated that this heinous act will be investigated, and he has thanked the National Guardsmen and women and the men and women of law enforcement.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just like that. It's not only diapers either. We actually receive bed pads, baby wipes. And these aren't just any baby wipes. They're huge. It's all free. It doesn't hurt to try. Fill it out and they'll do all the work.
All right. So you're saying, okay, so I got a jailer investigation. I'll have to check this about there. Yeah, I think we're gonna do a short live stream for Lee. I mean, I would have been respectful. You guys still gotta do Halloween. Well, you guys gotta do Thanksgiving tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thanksgiving Day for y'all. I don't want to keep you guys on there. So I just go and do my thing. But I'll have to watch that. But hopefully you're enjoying your Thanksgiving there, Jailer. Yeah, Jericho. I gotta watch Jailer investigation on too. I'll watch that on this side. But yeah, it's really windy, everybody. Well, lifters, go enjoy your Thanksgiving dinner too. I know you're out there watching me, be nosy. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving too, buddies. Okay, bros? Bros in the hood? Bye.